This is the Wizard WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. We have with us today Gregory Lan Ijiwola of City Light Church, and he is opening a new church in Rogers Park, Glow Church, so spreading the good word. Welcome, Gregory, and how do I pronounce your name?
You did well. Thank you very much.
A little bit. Yeah, you can move a little closer. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
You do, okay. Okay, so please describe City Light Church and how you came to found it.
All right. So, CityLight Church is a church that is located in the Hyde Park, Kenwood area, the Bronzeville area of Chicago, and it's a church that is based on its name. It's a church that is supposed to be a light to the city, and is indeed a light to the city. The goal of the church is to help people in the community discover their purpose, and then through finding their purpose, now use that to make a difference in the city and to bring other people to a discovery of their purpose too. So, and we founded the church because we believe that we had that vision come to us. I came to the United States then to join my wife, who was born here, and I will go to the South Side. Then I'll see kids on the street. I'll see people, and I've always believed in human potential. That everybody has been called to do something unique on this earth, and also to have a relationship with God. So that has been my passion, and so seeing that the vision was birthed, and we've been doing that, and we're excited about what God is doing through the City Light Church.
Was your wife also interested in the same vision, or how did the two visions mesh?
Yes, in fact, one of the things that brought us together, both of us now, we've been together for 25 years, and one of the things that brought us together was this purpose that we were both called to do something on the earth that impacts people. And when we met as teenagers, then we began to discuss all that, and so we were in full agreement. We've been on the journey for 25 years now.
Okay. What about the City Light Church is different from other churches?
Yeah, just like every organization has what is called the unique selling proposition, even nonprofits. So the unique thing about the City Light Church is that when you join the church, one of the promises is that you will find the reason why you are here on the earth. So it's a church that is known for people who are very purposeful, and they want to get involved in what is happening in the community or in the nations. When you see them, they are ordinary people, just like any other person, students, workers, married, but some of them have organizations, businesses that touch cities. Some of them are involved in politics, involved in non-profit in Inglewood, just in different places to touch people. So the unique thing about City Light is a gathering of champions, a gathering of city changers, world changers, and impactful people.
The businesses that you talk about, are they do they have some pet nonprofits that they really want to help, or do they start something on their own? Could you give me an example or two?
So it's a mix. So there are people who start new ones, and then there are people who join existing ones. But the businesses, for example, one of the businesses that came out of the church is one of the members that invented an app for people to order food. So it's called Oja Express. So people can order native food and all that using the app. And then there are some other businesses. There are people who have started businesses, graphic designs. I will give a shout out to Leong Design that designs all kinds of things for people. And then there are those who have started events, events planning stuff, and then other nonprofits too, Men of Faith Network and so on.
Businesses that you mentioned, what kind of work are they doing and giving back to the community? Is that in addition to the business?
Yes. So the first thing that the people do is, first of all, they are examples, because the South Side is a black community. And one of the things that, the city has been trying to do is to get Black people, into entrepreneurship and all that. So the first thing is that they are examples of people who rise up and start their own things. The second one is that a lot of them have the dream of employing other people and getting them into jobs. But the other thing is that these businesses also support nonprofit, including our nonprofit from the church called the Life Development Center. So they support it, they support the church, and they support other nonprofits in the community. So that's just a summary of the impact.
So the Life Development department of your church, that arm of the church, that center, does the center have any involvement in developing the community, such as property development into businesses? Yeah,
so it's actually a separate 501c3 organization, even though it was started by the church. So it's a community development organization, and it's focused on 5 areas, which includes those things that you talked about. So we are very involved in youth development. We're very involved in educational enrichment and leadership development. We're involved in community development and economic development. So for example, when you talk about real estate, we just put out there's a land that we have in Inglewood that we just turned into a community garden called the Glow Garden there, that people can come, have parties, and so on. Then apart from that, our leadership development arm organizes what is called the Leading Lights training that helps people in the community to find their purpose and develop their leadership so that they can go on and also get involved in the development of the community.
Nice. Do you work with any developers? Are there developers that specifically try to give back to the community?
Yes. So now we are in the real estate aspect. We're just getting into it, but we do have people within the church who are now developing real estate because they found that as their own purpose. They went through that Leading Lights training and they saw that the real estate is how I should make an impact. And so, for example, we had one person that went through it and now went and built a multi-family and other ones. So there are people, we have groups for real estate like that to encourage people to do that. But we generally partner with people of like mind, people who have of goodwill that wants to impact the community. We're very open to doing that.
Are you able to address the distressed properties?
Yes, through our partnerships with organizations that do that.
Rehab or actual tear downs and developments. Both, or how is it progressing?
No, could you say that again?
When for the distressed properties, do you tear down or do you rehab them?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. The example of that land, the land that we have right now, was actually a property that was condemned by the city of Chicago. We were actually involved in a court case regarding it, and then one of the banks, Wells Fargo, saw the things we do in the community. We applied for it, so they tore it down and they gave it to us to redevelop it. And then there are other people in the congregation also who they find a property and then they turn it around. And a lot of people have dreams of doing that too. So we're encouraging them to do that because real estate is very important for developing communities.
Absolutely. What about the food desert? Is the church able to do anything about that?
So based on the people within the church, we're not doing anything about that right now, apart from the fact that we support the Chicago Food Bank on a monthly basis as an organization, right? But in terms of if doing anything like on our own, we have not done that. But I do know that there are people within the community who have that within the church that who have that desire, restaurants or like the grocery store hub that I just talked about too. It's part of dealing with the food issue.
Well, even that community garden that you spoke about, that's something that could grow and help the community.
Yes.
Right now, this winter weather, you can't grow anything.
Right now it's just there fenced and all that. But once we get into the spring and the summer, then it kicks up again.
And of course, you need all this cold weather to kill the insects, so that you could start all over again. Otherwise, there's just too many.
Yeah, all things are working together.
Yes.
Including the weather.
What in your background, Gregory, prepared you for the ministry?
Well, so I would say everything that I have been, um, like I've gone through in life, has been part of the preparation for everything that I do now. So I will start from my background. So basically, where I was born in Nigeria originally, and where I was born, the things I went through, the things that I had to overcome. Now I find people all around, in Chicago and even in other places that I travel to that are trying to overcome such things. So I use my experience. So that's one area. The second one is my educational experience. So I studied engineering at first, electronics engineering, because I thought my desire in life then was to understand how electronics worked. So I studied electronic engineering. Then later I went to do my master's in urban studies because I had a desire to know how cities worked. How can you make cities better? And then I studied theology.
Okay, let's deviate a little bit. When you studied urban studies, and how cities work, what is the main thing that causes cities not to work, and how would you address that? And could you address that through the church?
Oh yes. So when it comes to the way cities work, it's a multi-faceted issue.
Yes.
So first of all, there is leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything. That's why if a sporting team is not doing well, you don't fire the team, you fire the coach, because leadership is very important. So city leadership. So having visionary leadership in cities and having leadership that are very compassionate and empathetic to people is extremely important. So that's one of the reasons, one of the things a church must do is that it must develop leaders for the city, and it must encourage current leaders in the city. So the political leaders, civic leaders, leaders in the families, and so on. Now, the second part of changing a city is the family. The family is extremely important because the microcosm of a city are families. So if the family is healthy, the city will be healthy. When families break down, cities break down. So it is important that churches invest in families. So it's one of the things that we are very passionate about, in people establishing and continuing strong families, and always thinking about the next generation. That what you impart into the youth and the children right now is the future of the city. So that's, just some little way with the time that we have, a little bit, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were describing
other studies. And then of course, so my other educational experience was I did a PhD in leadership. So because organizational leadership, because I got interested in organizations and leadership. So putting all that together, I believe that my experience, both in life, my educational experience, right, and what I've even been in Chicago right now for 18 years and leading and pastoring and getting involved in all kinds of stuff for potential development of people and places. That has prepared me for this new church launch that we're doing on the north side here called the Glow Church.
For your PhD, did you get that while you were a pastor at the CityLight Church?
Yes, it was an interesting time because I was pastoring. Yes. I was traveling and I was doing a building construction on the south, and I was doing my PhD. I did it for 4.5 years at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology.
Oh, yeah. How were you able to put everything together? Did you input what you were doing, your work, into your PhD?
Exactly. So it was mingled because I chose that particular focus of PhD because I was interested in leadership and organizations. So most of the essays I was writing were related to what I was doing in the community. In fact, my dissertation is about how community organizations, development organizations can collaborate together and how to lead such collaborations. That's what my dissertation was about. So everything commingled together. But I really want to thank my wife. I'm sure she's listening. She was very supportive, all through that, helping me, and then with the family. It was a very tough period, but I'm glad that I did it.
Of course.
Yeah.
So was it part of your dissertation that you came to realize that the family is the microcosm that's the bulwark of the community, or did you learn that? Was that book learning, or was that community learning?
I would say it's a combination.
Mhm.
So we keep learning. So I know that from the Bible that the family is key, is the foundation. I know that from experience.
Mhm.
All right, from building my own family and getting involved in other people's families. Then I also know about it from research, from my experience on the south side, and the west side and so on, and then from my studies too, because we did some papers on all these areas of cities and how cities go down, go up, what you can do to change and all that. So I would say it's a combination of things.
In your research, did you find any model of a city that's working really well?
It's very tough to say a city is working really, really, really well
Okay.
because
Yes.
there's no perfect city
Mhm.
in the world.
That's right.
Cities have issues, and also even when you fix an issue, because there's so many systems that make up a city, one system tends to go wrong, and all that. But there are cities that are doing better than some other cities.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I'll keep that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So can you describe how you got your initial funding to start CityLight Church?
Yeah. So when you have a vision, the first thing is that you have that vision, you are supposed to invest in it. So the first thing was my wife and I. We invested in the vision. Then secondly, we told friends, we told partners, we told people in the community. We're about to do something that will touch the lives of people, and that's going to be long-standing, that will even outlive us, because it's something that never existed, before, that is being started, and this is the vision. So people started joining in to give. And then later we got involved in telling some organizations, to join too. So we've had partnerships with organizations, with people that support the vision and what we do in the city. Yes.
So that was how long did it take for it to get off the ground? Enough funding for you to start the CityLight Church?
So the way we did it was, we just hit the road running. So basically, we didn't have like a huge savings saved up before we started it. We shared the vision, and then some people gave some things, and then we started moving and doing it and touching people and just walking by faith, as the Bible will say, like just trusting, looking at the invisible, and the funds keep on coming. And we still live that way too. So we do save some things, but we live that way. When we have a vision, somebody said it this way, he said, God will never tell you to do something that you already have it in your bank account. He's always going to tell you to do something that you have to depend on him to get done. So we live in that dependence, and we keep on moving, and it's been great. Yeah.
Your faith is a leap of faith, like constantly.
Yeah, it's a leap of faith constantly. Yes.
What was your epiphany to start a CityLight Church?
Okay, so so I moved to the United States, and then I started. I was teaching some people just on Fridays at DePaul University, and then I would go to IIT, Illinois Institute of Technology, and there were some people there that were part of that group I was teaching, and so I would go there, and then I would see that neighborhood, iPark, Bronzeville, and all that, and something started coming to my heart that wow, I love human potential. It's very important to me for people to be developed, to find their purpose. It's a major thing for me. So then I prayed, and I was reading a book one day. The book was called City Reaching, like how to reach city reaching. And while I was reading it, and there were examples being shared of how people have reached cities, that's when I just saw this picture of lights all over a map of city. Like, wow, and then there was one big light in the center and light everywhere. So that's where the name CityLight came from. So it's more like people who will be light in their communities, in all the 77 community areas of Chicago, in other parts of the world, in their spheres of influence, wherever God puts them, where they work, where they live, that there will be light in there. There will be people that will be examples, and there will be illuminations and glows in those places, making a difference. So that's the epiphany.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been praying. It was just like it progressed. You kept praying, and then you
Yes.
saw it.
Yes.
Right. Did you have a dream? Did you say? Was there any dream?
No, it wasn't a dream. It was more like it was a vision. You know, I was hesitating to say that. You know, knowing that we're on a secular, station, but it was what we call the vision. Like you see something in another realm. But it was a picture that was very clear to me
as you were reading.
As I was reading the book and praying. Yes.
When did you and why did you decide to expand CityLight Church to the north side and develop Glow Church?
Okay, so the CityLight Church on the south side is going on well, and thank God leadership has been developed. There are wonderful people who are leading the church, and some of them even have greater potentials. And one of the things I believe, first of all, is that whenever something is done, I need to work myself out of the job so that other people can have a chance to explore and express their potentials. That's one. But secondly, Rogers Park, has been, and the north side generally, Albany Park and all this, North Park and Evanston, all that, has been on my heart for some time. First of all, because of the diversity of people there. For my study, when I was doing urban studies, and my PhD, I knew that Rogers Park is the most diverse area of Chicago. That Rogers Park, Albany Park, you can meet people from all nations, all kinds of living together and all that. So I believe that the wealth of Chicago, a major part of the wealth, when I say wealth, the potentials of Chicago is in the residents. And Chicago is an international city with people from everywhere, first generation, second generation, and so on, that are here. So I believe that one of the things that churches should do is that they should help develop the wealth of the communities where they are put into. So, and also I've been studying, because I've been going to the Rogers Park, I've been studying, and I know a lot of people are frustrated about a lot of things going on, violence and all that. People express all that. So people need purposeful living. They need people. They need passion. They need something that will engage them so that they can live what we call the radiant life. A life that shines, a life that is full of joy, that excited, that is adventurous, and where you are making a difference in the world. And that is why we want to plant the Glow. We're excited, the Glow Church. We're building a launch team now there. It will help people find their purpose, find their people, and find their place, and live joyful lives. And also help bring, join all the other things, good things going on already in Rogers Park, churches, other organizations like the Chamber of Commerce and so on. Join all the people already doing great works there to bring more light into the Rogers Park area, and extends to Albany Park, Evanston, and all the other places.
Right. Rogers Park is kind of a hub in that area.
Yes.
I know that you have one service per week at CityLight Church, and eventually for the Glow Church. But do you have other meetings, because you're doing so much other work? 'Cause I'm assuming that you have meetings to develop that too throughout the week.
Yeah. So CityLight Church has two services. A 9 o'clock service and the 11 o'clock service. That's on Sunday.
On Sunday.
But there are many things going on throughout the week.
Yes.
So there are other events like what we call the Spicy Night on first Wednesday. It's like it's spices, like 7 people in communities through entertainment, education, empowerment, and so on. So people come in there, there's entertainment and all that, but people are being developed in their calling, in their organizations, communities being developed. Then there are small groups where people meet over different topics of interest.
Like committees.
In different places. And to encourage one another, to build up themselves and build up the community. So that is ongoing. Then the Life Development Center has its own meetings, ongoing in the community, both in partnership, in trainings, and so on. But the Glow Church right now, what we're doing, we've not started any public service. It's starting September 2020. So it's
Right.
2020.
Yes.
So it's starting. But right now, what we're doing is that we are gathering a launch team of people. We're calling on people who want to be the glow of Rogers Park on the north side, who have a desire, to do something that will really make a difference, to get a dream off the ground. So we're telling people to come join the launch team. So we need to plan how we do community service in the community, and then we also plan social event, where we share more of the vision, talk to people, and so on. That's how I got to meet you.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you apply your PhD to the ministry? Organization development. It seems like everything you've described to me is that. Is there anything else about your PhD that you're applying to the ministry?
Yeah. So first of all is I would say the rigor of getting it helped me to develop a certain level of discipline. I had to write papers every week, long papers every week. So I still write a lot now. Write things to encourage people, write curriculum, and so on. The second thing is the content of the training, what I learned through it. I apply it to the organizations that I lead now. I also constantly get people involved in leadership training. So I do leadership trainings for the CityLight Church, Glow Church, the Life Development Center. We also do a training called the Leading Lights Training, which we do here in Chicago, and we do it in different nations. We've done it in 12 nations around the world right now. So from that PhD, then apart from the content, of it, it's the application, and the practice of it. So I do that, also helping other organizations in the community to be more effective. So I do consulting. I'm on the board of some organizations, so I use that too. Yeah.
Do you find that the book learning seems to not be enough? Have you learned a lot in the community that extends beyond what you learned from the books?
Oh, yes. I mean, I would say that book learning is never complete until you get on ground, on the job training. So I would say my biggest training has not been what I learned from books. It has been what I learned from people, what I learned from observation in the community and involvement and inserting myself. So a combination of that and book learning is helps to get the job done. So, but I would say on the ground learning is extremely important. I've learned a lot.
How did you go into other nations for the leadership development? What connections did you have over there that convinced you to go to one nation versus another nation?
Yeah, that's very interesting. So the CityLight Church, like I told you, we started with college students. A lot of those college students were international students. So they were in the church, and then over time there have been some people who they were working here or finished school, they moved to other places, they moved to other nations, some of them moved back to their nations and all that. So when the Leading Lights International training was about to start, we leveraged those people to help us to organize it.
So they were your classmates, basically. A lot of you were...
Well, they were church members.
Church members.
Yeah, that were, we were reaching out to while they were here studying. In Chicago.
So you mean that a lot of your congregation were international
students?
Yes,
yes. Okay. So they are now in other places.
Yes.
And then so we leveraged that first, and then we also began to leverage other people who through media ministry or book, because I write some book, books and all that, I've come in contact with that same vision. So they helped us to organize it, and then we've been expanding the network.
Do you apply what you learned in your PhD to your sermons as well?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I like to preach organized sermons, illustrative sermons. I love to teach practical sermons as something that people can hear, and it applies to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not just Sunday.
Yes.
Something that applies to you no matter what you do, whether you are a professor or you are a student, whatever you do in the community, or a political leader, that the sermon is relevant to life. So, yeah.
What is most difficult in running a ministry, and how do you overcome that?
Well, I think the most difficult aspect of ministry, just like the most difficult aspect of anything, is the most promising aspect, and that's people. People are the most difficult aspect of running any organization. Things don't have wheels. You can arrange things the way you want them to be arranged, and they will stay there. But people have wheels. People have a unique blend of passions. People are diverse in their needs. They are diverse in their emotions. Some are up, some are down, and all that. So managing that to still keep everybody moving in the direction of impact and vision has been the most challenging, but also the most rewarding. So it's people, managing people, just like any city, nation, and it's the people.
Is there any one example that jumps out? I could feel it, but is there any one example that you could describe to the audience to make them understand it?
I could give some. So, for example, let's talk about just one aspect of people's emotions. People go through emotional roller coasters. So there will be maybe an individual who is up and fired up for their purpose, want to do this and all that, and then suddenly life happens to them.
Right.
And then suddenly the passion goes down.
They can become depressed.
They become depressed and all that. So you have to go and lift them up again. And then there's no guarantee that roller coaster will not happen. They will not go through that again. Right. So managing that for several people. So that is
and
one.
And several talented people too.
Yes, all that. Then the other one is also, whenever people are together, people will step on each other's toes, especially people who are doing great stuff.
Right.
You understand? There'll be, differences of opinions and all that, which is awesome. So managing that, it's called conflict management. Managing that and just keeping everybody working as one, even though there are unique purposes and directions, but working as one to get the vision done is one of the challenges of ministry and leadership.
So you found someone that is as good as at that as you are, so that you could have that person running CityLight Church while you go to Rogers Park to develop Flow Church.
He's actually better than I am.
Oh,
yes.
So you must be very happy.
I'm very happy. Yes.
How long did it take for that person to learn enough of what you know to run that?
It's been a 15-year journey with the person now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How long did it take for CityLight Church to become a 501c3 organization, and in what ways does this 501c3 status help you the most?
We became 501c3 very quickly, just a few months after we started. But the Life Development Center, that one was launched 2014. So the 501c3 has been very helpful. Number one, of course, because of tax exemption, sales tax exemption, we're able to get resources without having to lose some resources in that case, to taxes. Secondly, it's helped us be able to link up with several organizations who only want to work with tax-exempt organizations.
So they have you as a fiscal sponsor? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so we do, the LDC does fiscal sponsorship and and incubation and all that. But other organizations that we join with, that they only work with 501c3. So so in doing events together that touch the community and so on. So the 501c3 has helped in that area.
Yeah. So when they work with you, then they could get the tax write-off with all the donations, etc.
Yes.
What is the most common issues which your congregation comes to you for advice?
The most common issue, I think it's like for human beings. I don't know if like Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about several needs that human beings have in their hierarchy, starting from just physical needs, safety needs, emotional belonging needs, and all that. So people come for a variety of reasons. I would say the most common is that need for significant living, like life that matters, that makes a difference. People have financial needs, they have all these things, people come, they have all safety needs and so on. But the real depth, the real felt need is that they just want to live a life that has meaning. That has meaning in good relationships, right? And then they have their needs met and they can go and fulfill the reason why they are here on the earth. So that's one of the things, I call myself a doctor for the soul. Yeah, for the soul of people, to help them find meaning, to help them find meaning in life. And then every other thing will follow. As you learn principles, your physical needs, safety needs, belonging needs, those things are met. Yeah.
They're part of the purpose. Everything they could apply, whatever other aspects of their life they could apply to their purpose once they find the purpose, is what you're saying.
Yes.
As of now, what is the main difference that you see between your congregation, your potential congregation in Rogers Park, and your congregation in Hyde Park at CityLight?
Yeah, so like I said, first of all, there are two different communities of Chicago.
Right.
So, Kenwood, Hyde Park, Bronzeville, it's a kind of community. Rogers Park is a different kind of community. It's more diverse.
Right.
In Rogers Park. So one of the things we see, and you build churches, right, to minister to the community that they are in. So there are certain things that you target towards the community. So over there, the basic need when we got there was youth and children and, and all that. So we invested in the African American community. So we invested in that, and thank God, for the impact and the harvest of that. In the Rogers Park community, so we see an international community, and then we see certain issues going on there, right? So this church will be different. Number one, we're building it, first of all, to be a very welcoming place for people, no matter your level of faith or no faith at all. So we have people in different things and all that, being able to come to a church with no difficulty, close to them, and also a diverse church.
How difficult is it to bring in people that are not African American? It is very diverse,
Yes.
but how different faiths and different perspectives to also be a part of Glow Church. How difficult it is to bring others in?
So I don't like the word difficult. I like challenging.
Yes.
So well, it's challenging, but there are certain things that you do to mitigate that challenge, and that's part of what we're doing right now. We're even training with an organization called Association of Related Churches. They are training us regarding this church plant. Yeah, and they are also supporting us with some funding. For it, they are matching whatever anybody gives up to $50,000. Yeah, towards the church, and they are training us. So one of the things about a diverse church is that the church has to be from ground, open to everyone, and you have to have leadership that reflects all the people, and at least most of all the people that you want to come in, their demography and their levels. So that's why we're taking time to build the launch team before we launch publicly. Right. And that launch team is going to have people that when you come to the church, you can see somebody that looks like you.
The Association of Related Churches, this is the first time we heard of that. What could you describe a little bit about that association?
It's an interesting organization. So they help churches launch. They've been doing it for several years right now, and they have over 90% success in church launches. It started with an individual who thought, what if I put some money together and give it to somebody to plant a life-giving church in one city? Then when that church becomes strong, that church will now also start giving some money that will be used to give to somebody else to plant another life-giving church in another place. So over time right now, there are several churches who have been helped to start, and they are now all giving towards them.
Is the association based in Chicago? Where is it based?
It's based in Alabama. Alabama, in Birmingham.
And it was very, it came into existence after you started the CityLight Church.
Yes, it came in after the CityLight Church. So CityLight Church now joins them. We also support the other churches that are launching. Right. But now we're launching a new church from them also with that model. So when Glow Church starts, it's also going to, part of its income is also going to be going to launch other churches in other places to help somebody like us who's about to start. Yeah.
So was Glow Church your idea, or was the Glow Church a part of your meeting with the
Oh no, it was our idea. So we had the vision before we met with them. So we have to share the vision, do all that. In fact, we have to sit with what they call the hack tank, like Shark Tank. So it was the hack tank, like Association of Related Churches hack tank, and we had to share the vision, my wife and I, and the business people. This is good, this is and they said, okay, now we're going to support you. So we had to convince them with a vision that this is something worth supporting.
Do you know how many churches there are in that association?
I will have to check that, but I know they have hundreds of churches in different parts of the United States, and now they also have internationally now in Canada and other places that they are helping churches to launch.
So when you visit Africa, are you bringing leads to them as well from Africa?
Am I bringing what?
Leads? Yes, like leads to maybe other churches that want to establish in Africa.
I would love to do that. I've not done that yet, but I would love to do that after we launch.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, now it's still a big project.
Yeah.
What are the main needs for the CityLight Church, the congregation over there?
Okay. So the people or the community?
Both.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
separately, if they're different.
Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about the community. So the Bronzeville area is undergoing a lot of changes now. So when we first moved there, it was more low to mid income with a few, but now it's changed.
Gentrifying?
Yeah, it's gentrified. Yeah. So the houses are expensive and all that. So that's one need of people. Secondly,
in other words, you're saying that people are having trouble finding affordable housing because it's gentrifying.
Exactly. People are having to move, away and all that.
Yes.
So move around the community there. Also, the issue of violence is still ongoing. In there, just like what's been going on in Chicago, which I believe is it's just it's a manifestation of it's a symptom of a deeper issue. So, and the deeper issue that I believe, first of all, is people's meaningful living, love shown, and family. Plus a lot of governmental issues that have happened over the past, racial issues and all that. So, still, a need is still a community that is united and families that are built up. So, those same needs translate into the church, since the church is part of the community, and that's what we're addressing. Find your purpose. Find your place, find your people, find your power. Yeah.
What about in Rogers Park? How is that different from Hyde Park and Brownsville?
Yeah, so there are certain similar issues,
yes,
even though they are expressed in a different way in Rogers Park. So Rogers Park is a more sort of established community in the sense that a lot of new development are taking place in Bronzeville. So Rogers Park is like not much new development, are taking place yet. So it's a community that has things established that now need to be maximized. The potentials, they need to reach their potentials, right? And then because of the diversity of people, there's a diversity of issues, you understand, expressed in people. Some people are just coming in, like refugees that are just coming in. Immigrants that are coming in that they have issues, and then those who have been long-term residents, and then you have East Rogers Park, West Rogers Park. So there are a bunch of things in there that are mixed, but the focus will be young people, will be people who are committed to the development of the potential, of the place, about leadership. And both just those who are not in leadership, civic leadership, helping to develop leadership in there, but most importantly, creating a family of people who are from diverse backgrounds, but they have one vision of making a difference.
So you're trying to find family leaders and then also youth leaders.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Or helping to cultivate
such leaders, family leaders, community leaders, and so on. Yes.
WZRD is assessing the community for its quarterly issues, which is FCC mandated for as non-entertainment programming. So what WZRD do, all the on-air DJs, they have to find an issue and then or have an issue that's presented to them at about 5,
Mhm.
and that they do a little segment on and is submitted to the FCC.
Okay.
So what we're doing is that we ask community leaders such as you three things. The first thing is what matters the most to you? What do you care about the most?
I would say human capacity development.
Mhm.
I believe that we are all in this world, young, old, no matter where we're from, we're here to fulfill a purpose, to reach our potential. And that potential is supposed to make a difference in the world. That is what life is all about. And I believe that we were sent here by God. So I would say the biggest need is to help people find that sweet spot for their lives. A lot of people are living lives, going to work and doing all that, but they are not fulfilled. And there are a lot of societal issues that come as that ride on that because of that lack of fulfillment. A lot of things ride on that. So I believe that one of the things that should be done, that should be happening, is for people to find what their life is all about, what their purpose is all about, and to have the opportunity through education, through relationships, whatever it is, to be able to develop their potentials to reach the highest point and then make a difference in the world and in the city.
This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. We have with us at the studio Gregory Lan Ijiwola of CityLight Church, who is going to launch Glow Church in Rogers Park. The second part of the community assessment for the quarterly issues is what is the most important long-term problem that we need to address, according from your experience?
Yeah. So if the human capacity thing, it's addressed, so there will be a lot of people who will either start things or get involved in, highly impactful things for the community. So we need a place for those people. We need opportunities for them because when people get fired up, they need places where they can make an impact. So I would say that the continuous support and development of organizations, I call them arrowhead organizations in the community, some people that are on the front line doing stuff, to continue developing those people, because many of these people are going to be joining those and they're going to be starting those. So supporting such organizations, making them a priority, is very important so that opportunities continue. Job creation and so on too. And business support. Yeah.
What about the problem that needs to be resolved now?
Yes. So in terms of the now, in preparing for that, I think the key thing is educational, both vocational education and other forms of education. So both just learning generally, to expose people more to learning about, like I will call it holistic learning. So because there are all kinds of knowledge and all that. So like more holistic learning where you learn about your spirit, your soul, your body, your finances, family and all that. Something that comes together and then that leads to the development of people. So I believe very strongly that education is how communities are changed. People who are educated, they are strong people, they are powerful people, they are united people. And
well, you exemplified that with all the education that you described to us earlier. What advice do you have for students who are inspired to serve?
Yes, I will tell students, when I was a student, service was one of the things that I would say was my mainstay, apart from my studies. And I look back now and I'm very grateful that I did that, because the most important thing that that can happen to you when you are involved in anything is not necessarily what you are getting physically, but who you are becoming. Service turns you into somebody else. It turns you into a person of impact, a person who understands what is going on. When you get involved in needs, you become more empathic towards people because you can see how things are going on. You become compassionate. So I want to encourage students apart from their studies, to make sure that they are developing themselves holistically. Join community organizations like Glow Church, let me put a shout out there, or the Life Development Center, on the South Side, that are touching people. I'm excited. We have some University of Chicago students that are helping us to develop our strategic plan and all that right now. They are called the Campus Catalyst Team. So helping us there on the South Side. So students, should get involved because students are very skillful. They can apply what they are learning right now in the community in real life. So to join such organizations, make service, part of their life plan.
What was your first volunteer service?
That's a long time ago. First, I would say so my story is very interesting because from my elementary school to high school and all that, I was placed in leadership position. So it was something they used to do in Nigeria. They call them, and they do it in England too, the prefect system. And they call them class monitors or class captains. So they will call somebody from the class and you're going to be the one responsible for all the other students. So throughout all my schooling, I was a class captain, I was a school prefect, throughout everything up till high school. So I would say my first volunteer experience was when I was in elementary school and I was a class captain.
Well, how in what grade?
From first grade. Yeah, wow. That's my life from first grade. So I was responsible for keeping the class clean and keeping everybody, if anybody is disturbing, I write their names and give it to the teacher and all that. When the teachers are having their meetings, I'm the one that is responsible for everything being in place and all that. So right from then, I did it all through every grade till I left high school. And I became school prefect.
How many students were in the first grade that you?
I don't know the exact number, but I know the schools are usually, the classes are usually very large, maybe like 75.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like that until, and then the school, of thousands of people, I was what is called the senior prefect or the head boy. So I was responsible for the entire school, the cleanliness, leading the student body and so on. And into college too, I started doing that. Then I started pastoring churches too. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you have a quite extensive resume all the way from first grade.
Well, sometimes I wish I didn't have that. I'm like, why is my life like that? But I'm glad.
Well, thank you so much for joining WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. Pastor Gregory Lan Ijiwola of CityLight Church and the soon-to-be launching Glow Church in Rogers Park.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Pastor Gregory, how you doing?
I'm good.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
It was a great interview from what I saw.
I loved it. She's so good.
Oh, yes, she is.
She's so good. Wow.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're
lucky too.
Indeed.
You got to interview her.
Yeah. That was so good. And people were texting me.
Oh, yeah?
I was getting texts from people that were listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. That was so much fun. So the camera is still running. You could switch it off so I don't have to do that much.
Okay.
So that was Pastor Gregory. It's right behind me. And I'm the Wizard, WZRD, and his church is a member of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. We support him all the way.
Yes.
He's a community builder. And so we're community builders too, and that's why we're working together. And that's how it goes.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for your support. I appreciate it.
Let's have a photo shoot as well.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, let me cut this.
Finalize.